Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new rivalry in the Americas between Leviathan and Loud. Coming into this game, the questions and storylines wrote themselves. People wanted to see how Aspas would do against his former team, to see if Loud was strong because of Aspas, or if Aspas was strong because of Loud. And yes, I know, this is not exactly how you use the Jujutsu Kaisen meme, but you get the point. We wanted to know who was more important for Loud's dominant run in the past, and if Loud will regret not being able to keep their former star duelists. In all honesty, this wasn't a fair question since Valorant is a team-based game, and from top to bottom, there wasn't a single bad player on stage. Even Meizinho, who was probably the most slept on player in the server, had amazing clutches and plays that helped Leviathan win rounds.
He just pushes them off the defuse entirely, and Sadak trying to stick. Mazzino! It's all him, baby! Absolutely sublime!
His plays were so hair-raising that people in the chat were changing his name from Mazinho to Wazinho for the dubs that he helped secure. It was truly a game of tug-of-war. For every jaw-dropping play Aspas was able to pull off,
Sadak coming in clutch. Holds it down towards main, the jiggle spot, seeing that Aspas has dropped down. Aspas! What? Unbelievable!
Loud answered back with unbelievable clutches of their own. Clutches that they had no business getting.
Stopper! Claims that the target, claims the mark. Hello, still the danger there. Boom bot from the side. King. Pressing the advantage, not pushing deep forward. Inside the smoke now playing this one. They give space for the rest of his team for Lev. Try and get themselves in through the main area. Nice. Popped off by Aspas. Mazzino, almost there with the timing. Over the top. Okay, Stinger dashing in. The knife's going amiss. It's only got the operator in his hands. Les and KDAWIN. Dynamic is the duo, and they brought it 10 to 10.
The eye test definitely answered the question if Aspas was great because of Loud or if Loud was so dominant in the past because of Aspas. The conclusion? Both. Turns out Aspas just has incredible talent that you can see on any team, and Loud can still set meta-defining team comps that can shake any opponent's score. However, looking at the stats, we can tell it takes more than just one person to beat a well-oiled team. Throughout this series, you also saw that Loud knew how to contain Aspas. It was Leviathan's other players who really gave them problems. On Bind, both orgs were running a team composition that didn't have any Sentinels, which isn't out of the ordinary for Bind. Many teams in Champs last year did the same. However, Leviathan had both Sky and Gecko alongside Harbor and Viper. If anything, Leviathan was looking more like past Loud, who started the Viper-Harbor trend in Tier 1. And it turns out running Sky and Gecko is not a bad idea on this map too. Why choose between two when they both complement each other so well? The same idea applied to Viper and Harbor, and that turned out well. On the other side of things, Loud chose to use the same Ascent comp that they revealed against Sentinels. When it comes to getting info with utility, Leviathan had an advantage here. Yes, Loud had 2 Initiators, and KO's knife is decent. However, his overall package when getting info is probably one of the weaker in this class of agents. The only other Initiator whose signature ability is worse when it comes to gathering info is, yeah, you guessed it, Breach. This means Loud had to get creative if they wanted to know where their opponents were, and sometimes they got punished for it.
Is not in any way well ever headed. And that's another punish on a jump peak of B-Long.
Yeah.
I think comparing both their Bind and Ascent performance, we see the real strength of this team isn't util dumping, but actually the players using it as well as knowing map rotations. Also on paper, these two are very offensive teams, and that showed in the results of this map. Loud only won 3 rounds as defenders while Leviathan got 4. Bind is typically a slightly defensive-sided map in the pro scene. Even in Champs last year, you would see teams narrowly win more rounds on defense than on offense, unless it was a clear case of skill diff. And yet in this game, 7 rounds were won in total on the defensive end between these two teams, which is not narrow in the slightest when you realize that there were 24 rounds played. Despite this, Loud still put up a fight, losing only by 2 rounds. Aspas on the other hand was a bit underwhelming as a whole. He had a KD differential of -5 and was 5th in average damage per round among all players in the server. It's also surprising that all of Loud players but Sadak had a worse average damage per round than him, and still only lost by 2 rounds. Even though he wasn't fragging out, he was still helping his teammates take space.
Flash. No real noise cues gained from this one. Here's the Seekers. Dodging of the knife.
But look,
Two
Loud are
statues
doing the push
available.
again,
They
bro.
want to try and fight this one. I mean, yes, they're pushing out into the back of the side. The rocket! Of course it finds his mark. Aspas, though. Over the top of the Dizzy. Now the satchels, and here we go. Showstopper. Lives close and forwards. There's a rocket for you. Almost direct hit there.
The real heroes for Leviathan were King, Mazinho, and especially Tex, who had 7 first bloods and only 2 first deaths. Split was a story of Leviathan shooting themselves in the foot. They were up 2-6, but things started to turn as the match continued, and part of that were the lurks. We all know that Calm's lurks were great in Champs 2023, but there's a reason why you don't see Initiators lurk much. Their utility can be used to help the team. If you're running double Initiators, then it could be less of a risk since you have someone else helping the duelist and or team get onto site. Leviathan wasn't running double Initiator though. They were running double duelist, which they could help each other, but Initiators are still better at clearing corners and gathering info for the team. On this round, you can see Sky is mid while their team is getting torn apart. A lot of things need to go right to get value as a lurker. Unfortunately for Leviathan, being 2 players down isn't one of those things. The very next round, Calm is with his team and they were able to get onto site, while Mazinho lurks, which isn't bad since Astra has global presence, but for some reason Calm is by himself on site, and you can guess what happens when you leave someone alone to defend a site by themselves. Then we see that Mazinho got little to no value out of his lurk. Loud just had better control of A site while Leviathan was stuck with just ramps. So in an instant, a 4-round lead was erased and things were tied up because of lurks not finding values and poor team positioning in the post plants. This created unnecessary pressure and heroics for Leviathan players to make up.
A target, there it is! On for the ace. Now listen, shouldn't have been that danger there, but 7 bullets left in the chamber. Fired with the shots. He knows that Les is coming hunting. What a play from King.
The only question is who's
Wait! Time!
There should have been no danger in that.
God, dodgy.
Nonetheless, Loud's excellent ability to capitalize off of their utility helped them take map 2. On map 3, it was Ascent, and Loud stuck with their same comp as last game. However, I believe the main reason why Ascent went differently than Bind is that Ascent is a little bit more predictable, because everyone runs similar team comps. Yes, you can change the tactics a little bit, but these pro players should know the strengths and weaknesses of this comp by now. While Bind, on the other hand, there's a lot more variables in team comps and utility usage, which made things a little bit harder for Loud there versus on Ascent. For example, on round 15, we see Loud is 3-stack gambling in Boathouse, which is an insanely risky play by the way. All it takes is a couple of shock darts and your HP may be non-existent. However, King's Knife tells the team that there's 3 players on site. So the smart play is to go to A since you know there would be at most 2 people there. This is when Loud's mid-round adjustments come into play. Sadek chooses to hold for Leviathan's rotate instead of himself fully rotating over the B. He too knows it's the smart play not to face 3 people on site, so coming to B is the better play. As well as the fact that going mid is more riskier and has more angles to worry about than going straight into defender spawns. This round by itself shows you that it isn't really the team comp that makes Loud so dangerous, but the players using it. Yes, the util dumping is crazy, but it takes a lot of discipline and practice to know when to use an agent's ability. Loud's map rotation and gamble stacking was just far superior, on top of having to deal with a comp filled with flashes and crowd control. There were many times Loud just shut Aspas down even when he had an op. They didn't give him the opportunity to pop off on this map, and in the series as a whole. We know in his 100 Thieves game that he's still dangerous, but this is a team-based game and Loud were just the better one. I personally have Sentinels favored in the last elimination game of Group B, since they have more time to rest and prepare than Leviathan did. But I don't expect it to be an easy one. It should also be a nail-biter. And fun fact, Loud has yet to lose to any team that had poached their previous members. Sen with Sasi and Pakata, and MIBR with their coaches. And with these results, we can add Aspas with Leviathan. Also, based on everything we've seen so far, I think Loud is still the best America's team. Don't get me wrong, NRG is also winning their games too, but it hasn't been as impressive as Loud. I don't know if it's them just hiding strats or not, but they haven't quite wowed me yet. I honestly think this region is the most competitive from top to bottom, but let me know down below who you think is currently the best team in the Americas. But till then, stay safe and I'll see you guys in the next video here.